So another critical music learning technique I'm really into is this idea of crystallizing. And to me that means making definite the indefinite. So part of what happens is when you start, like music is a language. There's a lot of different ways it can express itself. There's a lot of different ways you can express similar ideas. And I mean, even if you look at any piece of music, like the most common thing that stands out to me is fingerings. Any piece of music, there's often more than one way to play with different fingers. And because all these fingerings are possible, it's sometimes confusing which one you should do. And a lot of times it doesn't matter that much. I mean, sometimes it can make a huge difference in terms of the tone, or just like how difficult certain types of string crossings might be. There are certain reasons to choose certain fingerings over others. But sometimes there's more than one fingering that is okay, that is good enough. And with enough practice, you can even make bad fingerings work. But, every one of those fingerings that you allow, you have to learn. You have to practice, you have to get good at, and that's more work for your brain. So this idea of crystallizing is saying at first when you start to go through a piece of music, you choose one version. You try to look at some of the factors. You say, okay, does this fingering work with the notes before and after? Does it sound good with the tone? Is it physically really difficult? Does it hit the right notes? You check for all those things, and you rule out possibilities. And eventually you get to the point where there might be one or two options left for a good fingering. And then if it doesn't really matter, if it's kind of a close call between two, you just pick one because it doesn't matter that much. And enough practice will make even a bad fingering workable. But the idea is you don't just allow yourself to do whatever every time, because if you do, you will eventually just like, you won't know which one you're going to do, and you'll be more likely to have to decide when you're coming up to it and screw up because you're deciding, or you'll have to practice both, which is twice as much work. So really just saying, okay, one version, other versions, not possible right now, just one. Once you do that, over time, you can actually develop variations. You can say, well, this fingering works, but also this fingering works. And when you get really good at music, you know a lot of different ways to accomplish the same thing. It's called increasing mental representations. And this is a really great thing. It's a really beautiful thing. But when you're starting out, it really is more efficient in many ways to just pick one option and focus on it and nail it down, so that you can really just get through some good version of a performance of a piece. So this is the concept of crystallizing.